Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning, thundering different sorts. 420 I shines around these. Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning, thundering different sorts. 420 I shines around these parts. Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning, thundering different sorts. 420 I shines around these parts.
It was very cloudy, earthquake over the north and the south side. Seraphim, thrones and a ark. I'm a melanin in a my cerebral spark. Eyes behold King Selassie, the almighty monarch with dominion, double-edged sword well sharp. I read them sailing a Vatican art from far out. Wailing souls are rotting. Don't fall in a valley of the bloodbath.
Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning, thundering different sorts. 420 I shines around these parts. Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning, thundering different sorts. 420 I shines around these parts.
I know arrogance, all of the folly get all those sorrow dance. Only rejoicing thoughts, good memory in the files of a cash. Angelical food served in a calabash. Black jungle, Mexican aquadash, sacanalo. Keep a eye intact, one movement. Plants of the highest of ash. All over the premises, the mineral a wash at you.
Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning, thundering different sorts. 420 I shines around these parts. Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning, thundering different sorts. 420 I shines around these parts.
The green grass turning parts of my ras. Enter the great seas of that liquid brass. Gold scepter, place where the liquid stars. Ancestors seated around and a laugh. Such joyful feeling, the smoke no cough. I licking Rastafari around.
Trumpet sound.
I licking Rastafari around.
Trumpet sound.
And then me hear when the cherubim sound, hear them sounding.
Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning, thundering different sorts. 420 I shines around these parts. Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning, thundering different sorts. 420 I shines around these parts.
And it was cloudy, earthquake over the north and the south side. Seraphim throne on the ark. I'm a melanin in a my cerebral spark. Eyes behold King Selassie, the almighty monarch with dominion, double-edged sword well sharp. And he heard them, bring them up in a Vatican art. So far out, wailing souls are rotting. Don't get caught up in a the bloodbath of the
Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning, thundering different sorts. 420 I shines around these parts. Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning, thundering different sorts. 420 I shines around these parts.
Reggae.
Greetings, love and respect. Before we start
This episode of the Crystal Vaults, the OG rap stars. I want to help my sister Crystal Joan promote the Philly Crystal Cookout coming up July 15th, 3 to 8 p.m. in the heart of North Philly, 2316 North 11th Street. What? Yo, some of the most creative, inspirational, talisman making people on the planet are going to be gathered in one place. And we get the honor to hear two of them tonight. Brother Naim of Infinite Treasures, who won the Crystal Rap Battle of 2022. And my good brother Amun Miraj, who won the Crystal Rap Battle of 2021. They're going to be talking about the whole reality of the rap game, you know? So they both also are going to be at the Philly Crystal Cookout along with myself. So, yo, it's the place to be. July 15th, 2023, 3 to 8 p.m., 2316 North 11th Street. Don't be that one that just hears about it and don't have the, amazing experience in your own heavens. All right, let's jump in this episode. Peace.
Yes, I. Much love, honor, and respect. This is Ross Ben with my good brother, Ross Naim of Infinite Treasures. We coming back for another what? Alchemical Keys.
Episode what?
This is number 6.
Episode number 6.
All right.
Yeah,
hexagonal. We hexagonal up in this piece tonight.
Yo. We on that water matrix right now.
All right.
So
look,
the matrix of water and crystal.
You know what it is, Ross? You know how we open? True.
Yes, I am the one and only Rasta man Naya, broadcasting from this place what we call Infinite Treasures, and more specifically, the Lab of Infinite Treasures. And this is where we specialize in creating tools and jewels designed to enhance our connections with the heavens and the earth, And we're honored this week by a very special guest, a certified master of craft, a very prolific artist on so many different mediums, lyrically, artistically, and socially, a teacher of the people, straight up teacher of the people, near and far. One and only Amun Ra is in here with us tonight. So just want to acknowledge his presence, and thank him for receiving the invite.
Yes, sir.
And I'm excited to see what he's gonna lay on wax. I already know. Every time we get together, man, this cat is dropping jewels, literally, figuratively, orally, jewels just boom, falling out his pockets. So I'm excited to see
one of them video game characters, just dropping jewels left and right.
Dropping jewels left and right.
With little jingle tunes and sounds.
Come on, man. What you mean? And poetic, dynamic poetry in motion with them things. Like he ain't just, you know what I mean? Yeah, he know what he got and he know what he's administering to the people. So highest respects and regards for joining the call tonight, Baba Amun.
Yeah.
One love. What's going on, my brethren?
Aye.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Good to be a part of the Trinity. You know what I mean?
I say.
Part of my chewing, man. I've had a busy day and just needed to put a little something on my body.
No,
But
absolutely.
I'm here in full effect.
Understood. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna give you a time to go on to get nurturement in, and we're gonna
No,
follow the order. We're gonna go and block this prayer, get the frequency right.
perf,
Because the work
perf,
we're dealing with,
perf,
it ain't self-exaltation work. I and I come to do the most
yes,
high
sir.
work. So we're gonna
Power,
go on dial up that frequency,
perfection.
open it up
Yes, sir.
proper. Glory unto word, glory unto sound, glory unto power, glory unto the Iwa, glory unto the Holy One of creation. Yemperor Haile Selassie Jah, Rastafari, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, elect of thyself, light of the world. Haile Selassie. So we give thanks for this day and the many blessings and provisions, all the love, all the guidance, and the protection all around Bautayanai. We give thanks for this day, and we be a strengthening unto we, the whole of we, body, mind, and soul. We give thanks for our ancestors, for many generations of blood, sweat, and tears. Give us strength in these times to stand in the light of the Most High. We give thanks for elders, wise minds, knowledge, overstanding, guiding I and I through these times. We give thanks for the youth. Their life and love is the light and hope for redemption, liberation, repatriation in the sight of the Most High. And we give thanks for I and I divine unions, the Alpha and Omega, the holy foundation upon which I and I stand in the name of the Most High Jah. Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie,
Yes, I.
Divine Empress, Mama Miga, Empress Menem.
Yes, I.
Ashe. Amen. Sila. Yes, I.
Hey, give thanks.
So what's up, Ross? What we got for him now, man? What's the reason for the season, bro?
What? Well, first I could say this was just alignment. I never saw this vision until it appeared. Wasn't nothing like, oh, we got to do this, but man, it's a holy high honor to have. And one reasoning, what I would say is undoubtedly two of the most skilled wire rap artists in the game right now, you know? My life and my life's works, scribing books on crystals and researching this thing decades, before it even was even something big in our community. But being in that position, it put me in a place where I've met a lot of wire crafters, those putting gems and jewels and intention on with some wire, creating, something to keep you a little more protected in this 5G reality, or help you heal up, help you ground yourself, or, whatever intention was built in it. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of people with this thing. And I could say right here, right now, Infinite Treasures and Temple of Soul, y'all amongst the best, And I think what sets you apart, it's real simple. Both of y'all are aware of the alchemical keys. It ain't about what looks good or what's pretty, It's about what's alchemically going to align and heal and balance. What's going on with the elements in the crystal? Is it translucent or opaque? What's the mole scale on this thing? Who am I getting it from? Am I just getting it from any old random exploiter of the earth? Or am I taking the time to find the owners of minds who work with the earth in such a way, the stones they got is a sweet surrender, So I think all of that goes into both of y'all craft. And It's a holy high honor to have y'all both in one reasoning, giving up the jewels and the gems of y'all technique. Because something else that I've observed over the decades that stands out amongst y'all is that beyond just a technique, there's a philosophy embedded in the way you bring forth your creations. You know, there's a what do you say, like you know, the way y'all craft, the principles that y'all use in your technique are principles to live by. And you and when you share your technique with others, it's more than just how to twist the wire. It's really how to live. You know, you imparting on the ones a way of life. And that's really what I hope we can get into tonight, you know?
Yes, I.
Yeah. So, hey, good brother Amun Miraj, Temple of Soul, freed up now?
Yeah, man. We in
right.
the house. What's up?
Give thanks. Hey, one thing I could say, I noticed, yo, I've seen you over the decades. You're one of the hardest working wire rappers out here.
What?
You be on the train, you be in the coffee shop, you be on the bus. It don't matter. You got your tools out, and yeah, you manifesting, you know? Welcome to the Alchemical Keys, brother.
Man, thank you. I feel like I done came home. And my brothers was home, man. You know, so my brothers getting on and travel the universe as well. You know what I'm saying? On all levels and frequencies, being the universal beings that we are. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, coming back home, you know, to the as Baba Amun refers to us as alchemists. You know, coming home to my foundation, the alchemists. You know what I'm saying? I feel great being, you know, able to live this life and come to this trinity with y'all, so that so we can impart this information and share it so that everybody who, you know, taps in with us, can experience this, and we can continue to play our part in planetary consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Now, before we start talking about ourselves, right? I think we should mention a few of the names on whose shoulders we stand. Not necessarily like they ancestors. Many of them are still here on the planet. But when we was young bucks coming up, they was the ones, you know, carrying the torch. And, you know, in the marathon, and they passed it on proper, you know?
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
You know, I think about the one, he go by the name Baba G now.
Baba G.
But back in the day, Nasi,
he down here in Atlanta.
Look. Yeah. We mentioned his name. Look, it got you glitching, Ross.
Got me glitching, bro. What you mean?
Yeah, the man got a charge on his name, you know? So salute Baba G.
Big up Baba G.
Yeah.
He's still alive and well, steady on the good work. So you're right. We just saw him a few days ago in Atlanta.
And he's one of the ones that provided jewelry for Black Panther. Angela Bassett was wearing his wares.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then we got our elder Baba O.
Baba Osajifo, Timbuktu art calendar.
What?
Yeah. That's Milwaukee. That's Milwaukee's finest and Philly, because Baba Sajifo, foundation of Philly and Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you already know Baba Sajifo. He unpacked a whole mothership, a huge altar of primarily stuff from the continent. You know, big deal, very big deal, big deal for the culture. I got a chance to travel with him a number of times, and yeah, his cultural superstation that he establishes wherever he quote vends, it's it's a major building block to what we are as an international consciousness and culture of people who adorn ourselves with these talismans, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True that.
Yeah.
True that. Any others that come to your mind?
Hey, I got to give a big up to Ross Mbessa from South Philly. Ross Mbessa was the first copper wire worker of consistency that I ever met.
Okay.
And Ross Mbessa would just when me and the woman who initiated me into wire work, Nura El Hajri, who used to be the assistant manager and stage manager for the Roots. When she and I was engaged, man, you know what I mean? But even while we were dating, before we had came to that point, Ross Mbessa would come by the house with amazing copper works. He wasn't dealing with the gems as much. I didn't see as much gems, but what he was doing with copper wire, oh, Lord have mercy. I feel like him and Nura planted the seed in my consciousness in 1996 that made me super familiar with doing it, so that when I got serious about it in 99, 2000, it was already ingrained in my heart. Before it was ingrained in my mind, it was ingrained in my heart.
Yes.
So Ross Mbessa is a big one. I haven't seen him in years. I think he went back to Yard. So I think he's back in JA. Ross Mbessa, big one. Oh, and Copper John, the legend here in Atlanta. Rest in peace. He's an ancestor now. He's not walking the earth with us anymore. But his influence in the Atlanta scene, which is, to my knowledge, the most saturated scene of wire rappers in the country I've ever seen, was always in Atlanta. It was like that in Atlanta in the 90s. Before I seen any scene where people popping up left and right doing it, Atlanta had wire rappers of many kinds all over the place, popping out the woodwork, and Copper John was right there in Little 5 Points and getting it on.
All right, well, salute to all that have come before us in this craft, you know. We honor and recognize you.
Yeah.
But right now, 2023, we got to say,
true.
the ones
we keeping them relevant.
Higher heights.
Keeping them relevant. I got to give some shout outs because where there are some aspects of the technique that are metaphysical or supernatural, as far as I can try to describe them, I do have predecessors, especially in the craft of the woodcutter, an ancient mind that cut wood and carved. They wasn't Baba Oyewole he wasn't wire rapping. He was carving big bars of brass and big bars of copper. He was using files and boom, 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 going in, pulling stuff out of the copper versus rapping, using wires to secure things on the copper. So I got to give one of my key godfathers, my first godfather, Baba Oyewole, big shout out, representing from the place what they call Oyotunji, African village. He one of them foundation keepers of Oyotunji, you know. So boom, big shout out Baba Oyewole. One of his sons is his second born son is the contemporary Alagba of the African village. The Alagba, if you're not familiar with that word sound, is the chief of the chiefs. You know, he's the one where the responsibility of the Igungun society rests upon his shoulders. You know, when folks ready to bring out their mother, their grandmother, whatever, when they get their resources together and they're ready to create space in the community to honor that elder, Alagba, Babatunde, Oyewole. Yeah, man, he's a master wire wrap technician, same way. Artist, crafter of many trades. So got to give him a big shout out, you know. He's actually a few years my junior, but an ancient mind all the same. So living in that line, carrying on that legacy of the Oyewoles, Baba, Tunde, Alagba, yeah, and Jayefa. Big up, big up, big up, big up. And then, of course, again, in the realm and the spheres of woodcutters and just sacred craftsmen, man. Got an elder named Pablo, aka David Sanders, man, down here in Sumter, South Carolina. Master of many crafts and many trades, welding, wood carving, painting, just master of so many crafts, man, and just being able to sit at the feet of these brethren, they really help to expand the visions and the potential of what I've been summoned to administer to the people in these times. So cannot forget about those ones who definitely helped I refine with processes in these ancient crafts, you know? Yeah. And then I think I got one more, because I could go on and on, two more. Enoch Buckery. This man didn't just carve stone, wood. This man was carving stones. You know what I'm saying? Like in old times. And he made his move about 2 years ago, same way, man. But wealth of wisdom, a champion for humanity. I tell you a thing with Enoch too. Whenever the siege happened in 1975, when the folks, the Russian-backed Mengistu militia ransacked the compounds of His Majesty and His Majesty's family, you know, a man named Enoch Buckery was already on this side doing the good works and was in position to actually be that liaison between Ethiopia and the royal family and refuge here in the Americas. So many of His Majesty's sons, daughters, granddaughters, grandchildren, his family were able to make it to America to find refuge during the siege. And Enoch Buckery, the man I'm telling you about, was instrumental in that transfer. So rise in power, almighty, angelic one, Enoch Buckery, you know. But I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to one more of my contemporaries, the one and only Baba Mosley, Ngoma, Thomas Mosley, the master woodcutter, woodcarver, drum instrument maker. This man make instruments out of any and everything, you know? Yeah, and the wood carving is an intricate part of his craft. So just want to boom, 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 give him a shout out for what? Being steady upon the good works. Well into his 70s, man. His tools ain't collecting dust. He's still at it, you know? Big up, Baba Ngoma, Thomas Moses.
Rasta.
Give thanks.
Yeah, man.
So now.
All
right, so look. We done bigged up those that have come before us.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. We gotta, you know, honor the order of operations. But what? Yo, y'all got so much to share. Just in terms of technique and, you know, what are y'all doing? So it's like, it's hard for me to say, oh, where to begin. And in saying that, I'm just gonna open it up to Amun Miraj right here, right now. Tell us about Temple of Soul, how it evolved, and you know what it is you're doing.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, for starters, man, I just like to say, you know, big ups, you know, to my brothers Ras Naim and Ras Ben. You know what I mean? I heard both of your names. Both of your names was already ringing bells in the conscious cultural community of alchemists, man. People who decided to say, yo, this conversation about African culture, and spirituality has a tangible science and element to it. And these guys are not just making things, but aware of how powerful the science and culture associated with our craftsmanship and the collection of these elements is. You know, it's a big deal when you're coming from a place of not understanding that spirituality is physical and that physicality is spiritual, you know, and what we are involved in and what I became awakened to through my first art business called KBM Creatrix, right? So KBM Creatrix started with myself and Noura El Hajiri in South Philly, Broad and Rodman, in fact. And yeah, we was collecting crystals that we was getting from numerous sources, but most of the big ones we got from the Franklin Institute. You know what I mean? But we was finding them anywhere we could find them. One second, move this thing out my way. And you know, KBM, the word letters KBM stood for Khalik or Khalik, Barai, and Musawir, right? So Khalik, Barai, and Musawir are 3 of the 99 names of Allah, meaning the creator, the maker, and the fashioner. So my beginnings in this came with that title, KBM Creatrix. And from there, you know, I moved to Chicago and began to really start working with metals and stones more. I was a clay sculptor, but I did wire and crystal work in South Philly. I just didn't stay consistent with it. But when I got to Chicago, I met the mother of my 2 Geminis, Eliuna and Ankwet, whose name is Het Heru. And Het Heru had a business called Earth Do Het Heru, where she was using clay and putting crystals inside of the clay. And so I had already also done some sculptures with crystals inside of clay. And we connected together, and she kind of joined up with KBM Creatrix because I was definitely the more extroverted, marketing-minded one of the 2 of us. So me being connected to the hip-hop scene, the poetry and performance scene, in a very short amount of time in Chicago, my art got everywhere and in no time. It didn't take me any time at all. I moved from Philly to Atlanta to Maryland, and Maryland to Chicago. But it's like, even though there was high vibes going on in any place I went, Chicago was home. And from Het Heru's inspiration, all of my creative ideas, it was like she had the womb universal key. She was the keeper of the alchemical key that turned my potential into kinetic force.
Well, yo, my roster confirms the queens hold all the keys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Het Heru, and I have to give a special shout out to a sister who was working with us named Anika, because even though Het Heru was the primary and consistent force of inspiration, Anika had one in particular design that popped my lock. You know what I'm saying? That her one in particular design, when I saw that copper glowing and the way she had wrapped it, I was like, ooh, I gotta, like, it was talking to me. You know what I mean? And so once that pop happened, I was gone. I was wide open off it. Please pardon the shading for all people who are watching this online. Pardon the shading. I'm on move, but hopefully y'all are still getting all the game the way it's supposed to be coming down.
No, you
So that, you know, Chicago came into my life, man, and my life force as a wire worker, crystal alchemist, was awakened at my time in Chicago. And the graduation of Soul Crafted, which is still my name on Facebook, Soul Crafted by Amun, which is still my personal line. My personal line of talismans and wearable art is still Soul Crafted by Amun. Temple of Soul is the Enlightenment Center. So Temple of Soul is actually the name of our Enlightenment Center, me and Mama Rachel, who's driving a car right now. Our Enlightenment Center is Temple of Soul, and it includes every artist and alchemist, inspirer, workshop facilitator, healer, crystal bowl, didgeridoo, everybody who's ever worked as a part of all that we are, I am, is a part of Temple of Soul. Ras Ben, you're a part of Temple of Soul. Ras Naim, you're a part of Temple of Soul. Sister Janae in Philadelphia, who does the sound healing and is an amazing wire worker, crystal alchemist, is a part of Temple of Soul. Abu Oyeti and her brand of clothing, Swagamuffin International, is a part of Temple of Soul. The Temple of Soul is a family of creative souls that bring about enlightenment expressed through creativity.
Yes.
You know, so that's where Temple of Soul is in the here and now.
Hey, that's dope, bro.
Now that brings up another like mystic connection between the three of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
And that's Tucson.
Uh-huh.
All right. And many know, like, that's like come February, Jah willing, we out there. Right?
Well, for sure.
So look, who is the first person to even mention this thing to me and put this idea in my head about going out to Tucson? It was Ras Naim, Infinite Treasure.
Okay.
Right? And we went out there together. What year was that, Ross? Like maybe 2001, 2002 or something?
That was 2004. That was a few weeks before Fire was born. That's how I orient to it, you know?
All right.
A few weeks before my firstborn daughter, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn near 20 years ago.
Is that all right?
Right?
20 years
but
ago.
look, we went out there first time together. But right, like him say, he had a youth on the way. I think just family moves. You ain't make it back out there the last year, right?
Last year was my first time in 18 years, bro.
Right. So for me, on the other hand, I did my best to be out there every year. And more often than not, who was I out there with? Amun Miraj.
That sounds right.
Almost said, from the early.
2005, you initiated me, Zindra Sharif, another one of my Excalibur level students,
right,
and Baina, also a great jewelry student who spent some time with The Wire, but also worked on editing your revised version of Rock of Ages. So yeah, but 2005, you walked me in the door, and I only missed 1 year since 2005.
So wait, Amun, you was out there when the old boy was out there. Who's the old boy out there roaring?
Sean
out there that year?
I was there. I was out there that year, but I wasn't in Tucson the same time as Ross Ben that year. Ross Ben came.
I'm talking about Ross. He didn't meet old boy. What's the old boy's name?
Sean Now.
Oh, Sean Now was out there straight.
That's a whole other episode, bro.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
That's one thing I regret that I missed. Like, oh snap, who did we evoke? You know what I'm saying? What have we evoked?
Right. Now, when you say, what's your line? We can't
make shit up, bro.
No, we can't encourage him, man.
Oh, do not encourage him.
Do not encourage that character, man.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Lord. But
Moon, that Temple of Soul, Janae and Amun, man, they put together. Well, really, I would say maybe the last 3 or 4 years I was out in Tucson, I was a part of some of the best retreats I've experienced, because I can't herd no cats, 8 different characters, trying to get them all in one movement on time, everyone happy, no cats clawing themselves up in the process.
Right.
Yeah. Amun Miraj got that gift. He got that gift. He can.
Hey, I bear witness. Yes.
It's not always easy, but I can say that the grace has been with I to be able to talk to the family, and like even like Ross Ben mentioned, dealing with the goddesses, man. Like it's not really a big challenge as much as it is just having the heart and the mind to communicate it and be open to seeing the success of it all. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not often that I guess maybe it's different for us brothers who are living with the culture and the light. It might be different for us. I don't know, because I can't speak for every brother. But for me, knowing that the sound healer we had this year, Sister Janae and I were once upon a time an item, and we went, through our cycles. But at the end of the day, one thing I always keep in mind is that this is about heart and it's about enlightenment. And when you see people you love doing a good job and a good thing, we got to bet on what's righteous. And so for me, it was like Baba Astarius Miraculi is our sound healer that would come every year. But Baba Astarius he wasn't ready to fly and travel this year. Most of the time he was living in Arizona, so it wasn't a thing for him to drive over and rock with us. But this year he wasn't trying to fly to Tucson and do all of this and that. So I reached out to the next sound healer that I know, that I know I have a great connection with. And Janae was like, sure, I would love to come. Came out with her crystal bowl and got it in. So I always listen to my heart first. I don't let my mind get too tangled up in it. So maybe I'm singing the right meow to herd the cows, herd the cats, as Rosman says. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Say if they was cows, a lot easier.
These be crystal cats. That's what it is. They crystal cats already. So it ain't that hard. It ain't that hard. You know what I mean? They're already crystallized.
Yeah, but you said they got minds of their own. It's hard to that's what separates cats from others. All of them got their own plans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They got
their
own plans.
One nervous system though. If we get used to making the nervous system ring to that crystalline frequency, we can hypnotize our people into harmony.
All right.
And to take the conversation into the alchemy of what it is, that like going into the philosophy a bit, you know what I mean?
So look,
yes, sir.
From there, transition into the philosophy behind your technique. There is no mistakes. How does that play out in your life?
Well, I think the philosophy has evolved over the years. I mean,
okay.
I ride the wave that is honoring the flow of all things. So as a Scorpio, that they refer to as a water element, but getting deeper into the understanding of myself through like Bagua readings that I received that spoke perfectly to my movement. My elemental character is the water that goes around, the river that goes around the mountain.
Huh.
That's who I am. As an elemental force, I'm the river that goes around the mountain. And so honoring the flow, honoring the rearranging of the flow that may come from the shifting of the earth and the tumbling of the rock, that no mistakes honors the fact that what we even call a mistake is the nature of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So it's not ever a mistake. It's the nature of.
It is what it is.
Exactly. Everything is everything.
Yeah. Right.
And so what I learned, when people look at my art, amongst the kings of rap, right? I'm a part of a wire art crystal crew called the Kings of Rap. That group is myself, Baba Kenamin, Rosh Tree, Fulani Malik, and Selah, right?
Big up.
With honorable mention for Kali Fire, and a couple of other people who amalgamated into the crew over the time. But that main five odd names, we've been consistent as the Kings of Rap, right? And they all of us have a specialty. We all look at Selah as the most advanced wire rapper of us all. All of us look at Selah's pieces and say, oh shit. Like every time when we set up, we all head nod each other's amazingness, but all of us head nod and be in awe at the same time when we see Selah's work. Well, when it comes to my work, the structure of my work, the geometrics of my work is what I'm known for. Well, going back to what you're asking me about, Rossman, with no mistakes, sometimes I vary from that structure. And in my concentrated character, I'll feel like I made a mistake. But then I'll allow it to just free form into some type of creativity. Well, when I'm done with it,
Okay. Yo, we lost you. We lost you. Amun.
Yeah.
There you
Am
go.
I here?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're in the ready to drop your, right when the jewel was about to come out. So you got to back up a little bit, brother.
Drop the tapes. He's about to drop the tapes.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know what word did y'all last clip. Can you help me? Let me know where I was before I got clipped.
You was saying like, you'll make what was like in your mind at one point, this was a mistake, but then you let it be.
Yes.
Creative point.
Yeah. So I allowed the free flow of the creativity to bring me towards completion, and when it was done, it was a beautiful work of art that I did not see it being the way that it turned out, but I allowed myself to work through it to be a complete piece of art. Those pieces are very special to me. When I meet a person that I created something for way back in, say, 2011, and they come into my space, I am very wowed about these pieces because it's like, hold up, I made that. And I don't know how to explain it, but it gives me a sweet tingle. It's a sweet tingle of, I don't know how to explain it. It's something very special. But just allowing everyone who, if you are watching this video and you are not a creator, it's almost like if you're a school teacher and a student that you had in your class that you barely remember comes back and tells you about something that you said to them when they were in high school with you, and they've been living by that word ever since then. It does something to your heart, to your mind, and it affects your I am presence far beyond your ego. And so when it comes to that philosophy of no mistakes, I may have spoken that as my philosophy at a point in time, but the truth is that philosophy is before me, with me, and in the future of I am.
So now I will just drop how, I guess what, because you're right, that was a very long time ago, right? And you shared it with me the first time we sat down with like pliers and wire in hand, and you was like, all right, Ross, I'm gonna put this on you, right? Like actually show me some technique. But the thing was, I had learned some of your technique even before I met you. All right. Because like you say, you had built with Zendra and Baina. And they had, what was their thing? Solar Ray.
Yes.
Back in the day, they was the Solar Ray crew, right?
Yes. Torchlight Collective, right.
There you go. And so how it worked out, I ended up sitting when you were in Chicago with Hede Rue, because you weren't at this point. I don't think I had met you. I had only heard about you and seen some of your works, right? And then Solar Ray was like, we done built with Amun, bam, let me, so we would sit. I had a little technique, but they definitely, working with Solar Ray, has stepped up my game. Time did bring it where, right, I got to meet you.
Yes, sir.
So, we had done moves and different things, but there came that day where it was like you had your tools, your wire, your crystals. I had my tools, my wire, my crystals, and you were like, all right, Ross Ben, this is, and you shared your technique in light of that, like, philosophy, that way of life. So it really, because I had already had learned some of the, like, just where you say what's going on in your hands from Zendra and Baina. But then when you hit me with the like no matter where you at, no matter what happened, your vision or whatever, there's never no mistake. And you know, it was a important moment. Learning my technique. And I gotta say, I'm because I gotta be transparent. For you and Naim to have been my wire rap teachers, my game should be my rap should be a lot tighter.
Hey,
because I study with the best.
But I'm glad you hold yourself to such a standard. But as far as I'm concerned, having you as my brother, I should have been published these books. I'm glad that we're still staying strong with each other, so both of us can continue to go all the way up.
Hey, Ross, Naim, you there?
I think Ross faded out for a second.
I was on mute. I was about to say, okay. Ross, you know, it ain't like your hands been idle, bruh. They've been steady. They've been steady at another mastercraft, the scribe.
That's right.
Know? Yeah, hey, the scribe, king, the history, the mystery, the prophecy revealer. Yo, you've been pulling that out of the primordial, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, and putting it into the clay so we can enhance our capability to decipher. And that's ultimately what we're doing. And we kind of messed up a little bit because we ain't give them the title. This one has a name. What's the name of this one, Ross? You forgot.
What is it?
I and I original rap stars.
We
are OG rap stars.
All right.
You know? Yeah, OG rap stars. We bring games into 3 dimension. You know? This is what we do. What we craft. We visionaries, so we can see beyond the veil, right? And we got techniques so we can boom, we can mold the primordial clay. We are the tools for the ready writer. You know? Yeah. So as it comes to philosophy, man, it's run so deep with me, man.
That's why I wanted to bring you in to like build and share with the people them principles you use.
Oh, were you finished, brother? I didn't want to cut off your flow or Ross Ben because
this was the last. You jumped straight in, but I will just say this is what I wanted for you to be able to share the philosophy, but also like the what you call it, the like who was your teacher? Like you told me it was a Nancy, right? And a Nancy the Spider. Is your teacher,
right.
And that from a Nancy, you learn the principles of suspension, ratio, proportion, tension, and how to bring all that together in your work. So I just wanted to, open that door.
Hey, Amun, I need a little help with this one, bro. How to come in, get ready for a journey. Think of a master plan. How does that long version of it come in? Get ready for the journey. You know what I'm talking about, right? Rakim's one of his original hits.
Thinking of a master plan. Ain't nothing but the sweat inside my hand.
Rhyming, they got Eric B got all this stuff in there, and it's like prepare for the journey. All right, so I just got out that one, and maybe we can find that and plug it in when we edit this thing out, But right, it is truly a journey of 10,000 lifetimes. And what Infinite Treasures is and what it has become for I is a compass, a consistent, reliable source of orientation, Ori, from we find these sacred works and free willingly administer these works to with folks. Infinite Treasures has been a compass, a point of orientation on more than one level, more than even just administering to the people, but being a bridge for generations. My folks have experienced the Ma'afa. So a whole lot of my foremothers and forefathers still need strength. They need ashe. They need to be remembered so that we can bridge the generational gaps. And they chose me to be not only a keeper of sacred ancient earth relics, but as a custodian of the stories that usually don't get told, you know, the keeper of the bloodlines. As his youngest son, like similar like how King David was, so they didn't send him in originally, you know? They kept him to what? To serve the flock. They sent his big brothers. The angel of the Lord came and was like, nah, this is not how this thing runs, you know? You want to have to deal with the judgment because you got the technique. One stone, you could turn the table of time and space. And that's what he did, you know? So that same kind of interdimensional, intergenerational energy is what born Infinite Treasures and has really opened up my mind's eye to who we are, who me and my folks really are, you know, interdimensional, intergenerationally. The two are a reflection of another. One is a reflection of the other. And I explain it like this. Infinite Treasures was birthed. The concept of actually, because I was making jewelry circa 1994. That's when I made first piece of jewelry for myself at Hampton University. And I didn't have a business ambition. I just was one step back. The Gemstone Kingdom called me in 1993. First day leaving my parents' house to go to the University of Hampton, Virginia, leaving from Pennsylvania to Virginia. Halfway we stopped, we had breakfast. While my parents was paying for breakfast, I was in the gift shop playing around with the stone trays, just contemplating my future. It's the first time I'm about to be away from my mama more than a few weeks. You know, I'm about to be down here. I have to really do this for real. This is it. This was my little push out the nest. Like, what you gonna do, my nigga? Fly, you're gonna hit the ground hard, you know? And I find myself in the shop playing with these stone trays, and like the Wheel of Fortune, stone tray spun around and boom, stopped in front of Tiger's Eye. And I'm like, yo, what is that? What is that? Yo. And I don't really know how long I was there, just kind of looking like, yo, what is this? I get the tap on my shoulder. My mother's like, come on, let's go. So I'm staring this thing down. I'm trying to put it down because I'm like, yo, I'm so intrigued. And as I try to put it down, she was like, no, bring that with you. I just bought that. That's for you. It was a keychain. I did that keychain. So the rest of the 2.5 hour trip down there, I'm kind of all this about independence and just being away from my mama, being away from my brothers as the youngest of five. This is my first real step into the real. I'm like studying this. And so it actually became a point of comfort for me because as I was literally going through that transition, I acquired this element and it helped me to work through homesickness. It helped me to work through social anxieties and other things that I had to manage those first couple of weeks at university. It was my keychain, the dorm key. Back in the day, they didn't have no swipe card. You had to have a key. So it was my chain from my first key to a house other than my mother's house. So this thing really was like critical to my journey into independence, right? But I couldn't find the jewelry. Most of the stuff I was seeing looked too feminine. So you know what? I'll just wait. A year later, second year, sophomore year, first weekend of school, big competition, big rivalry between Hampton and Howard University happens every year, like the first weekend after the first week of school. So me and a couple of my partners jump in the buggy, ride up from Hampton to Howard. We stopped. Was it on the way in or on the way out? I think it was on the way out after we came from the game. They had this mall up there, Potomac Mills. Potomac Mills had one of the original black market mineral stores. And so it's a big super mall up there, Potomac Mills. Brothers just jumped out to go do a couple hours of shopping. As I'm walking through, like, what? The stone shop? Went up in there, boom, walls draped with beads, stones of all types. I'm like, what? And I ain't know none of the rest of the stone. I wasn't in the stones. I was just like, they probably got the tiger's eye. Went up in there, boom, there it is. Let me get that. Let me get that. Boom, couple bucks, grabbed them things, took them back to my room, whop, 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 hooked up my thing. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. Why ain't nobody doing it like this? And I was just using basic mathematics, symmetry. however many's on one side on the other. I wasn't, I wasn't even doing it complex, but it's gonna be balanced. It's gonna be symmetric, Folks was marveling. Some folks really went there. It was about a year later. I'm out of school now. I'm back in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And this elder that I'm working with is coming to work every day, Cecil Rice. I'll never forget his name. Trying to cop my piece. Yo, how much for that necklace? $20. I got $20 right now. Let me get that. Like, nah, man, this ain't for sale. He wait till the next payday, a week or two later. Yo, I got $40. Let me get that necklace. Nah, man, this ain't that kind of party, buddy. After about a month, 6 weeks, he was like, yo, I'm up to about $80. Psst. Yo, homie, I know you ain't pay that kind of money for them beads. Why don't you just go back to the spot where you got them, get some more, make one for me, get this one. That's what I was kind of like, you know what? I could do that. The spot wasn't in my hometown, so I had time it, I was planning to already move back to Virginia for whatever. Tired of living with my parents, not even like tired of living with them, but I was approaching 20 years old and I needed independence. I wasn't raised to be laying up under my mama indefinitely, So I'd already planned my plot and spot to get down, and that's what I synchronized. Like, you know what, homie, I can help you out. Because I got to go down there and situate my apartment situation anyway, and I can grab them on the way back. That's what I did. We dropped in. My big brother Mike took me down there. On the way back, we stopped. Boom. We got out early, so we was already in Potomac Mills, maybe right when the mall opened, 9 o'clock. Went in there, dropped about $70 on just various beads, all different type of them. Now I wasn't just shopping for me. I'm like, you know what? I'm here. Let me just get a little variety of colors. Know nothing about most of the stones. I still, stand corrected. Because by this point, I'd taken this course because I was studying marine and environmental science in Hampton, and geology was one of the courses that we had to take. We had to study stones. So by the time I made this second trip, I'm like, I know what these stones are. So I got a swath was a little wider. Grabbed, boom, $70 worth of stranded beads. That's all I was wanting. Took them back. Got home maybe about 12 o'clock. Went straight at it. Organized. Boom, boom, boom. So now I can just pull from them as I need them to do my design. Worked until about 8 o'clock. And then I walked on the block to go see my elder, Rise and Power Baba Dawu Akbar. And he was a mentor. He the one that put the Naim Akbar books in my hands. He was a student of Naim Akbar, literally. He studied with Naim Akbar at Morehouse University, or Morehouse College, excuse me. He put Naim Akbar books in my hand. So when I started this transformation, and I had this first lot, even before I saw the person who commissioned the first order, I took him around the corner just to show the elder, yo, look, this is the same day I just bought this stuff. Took him around the corner, go see him, show him, he's inspired. He bought it all. Maybe had about 3, 4, 5 sets. Bought them all for $70. So the same money I spent less than 5 hours ago was back in my pocket, and I still had all the surplus material. That day, Infinite Treasures was born. That's when the Eureka moment happened. Like, you know what? I've not been doing the due diligence. I've been not serving the justice of the gifts that have been bestowed upon me. I'm working at a fraction of the composition of what I'm worth. It happened that day, 1995, November 16th. So yeah, that's when it was born. And then maybe 6 weeks later, almost exactly 6 weeks later, December 31st, 1995. My father's father, my grandfather, the patriarch, made his move. Few days, literally, after Infinite Treasures was born, infancy. So, sometimes that's how elders do. An elder will check out right before the baby is born, or near the time the baby is born. For I, Infinite Treasures, and this insatiable thirst, it is in this never-ending quest to know from whence I've come. It was born at the same damn time. So it's hard for me to really pull one from the other. They are one and the same. The infinite amount of things that we've rendered from that now are intimately connected with this picking up this bowl of marbles and stories and a wealth of wisdom that shattered at that moment when my grandfather passed. And I realized I didn't really know that man. I don't know none of his stories. You know, I only met him a couple times. I don't know none of the names he had about from whence we've come. All that shit just scattered to the four corners of earth in an instant, in that moment. And I didn't even realize that then. But that curiosity sparked a question when I was at his funeral. How do they got me sitting in the front row on the end? I don't even really know this man. I ain't beef with him. You know, he ain't ever do nothing bad to me, but I didn't know him. And I look over my shoulder and I see all these elders and all these folks that I know knew this man, you know, way better than me. Why they got me sitting in the front row? It's the question in my head at 20 years old, a fresh 20-year-old, fresh in my 20s, first couple days of being 20 years old. Why they got me sitting in the front row? And then I hear the voice in my head, which at age 20, I didn't know what that was. Like, hey, you don't know me, but I know you, little homie. And the way I was, couldn't really get close to you. You know, the way I was, I couldn't get close to you, but the way I am now, best believe this. You're going to know me. And, you know, I'm listening like that's the way I be talking to people when I'm turned up. And I'm like, but and sure enough, my grandfather latched on, if you could call it that. Like our relationship began almost instantly at his memorial service. And a few days later, I moved back to Hampton, my first move at independence, with this brand new baby business, this insatiable yearning for who am I? From whence do we come? You know, so they've grown in succinctness from that time to this time. And some of the key principles, you know, really run the business. First, balance. From balance on both sides. You know, be balanced. Life is about balance. If you're not balanced, then sooner or later you're gonna feel resistance. You know, if you fly and your thing is on with an even kill, boom, don't matter how fast you're moving without without no friction. Yeah, so balance is critical to technique in life and in craft. Yeah. So that's the foundational technique. You'll see that consistently in our work. Symmetry. And ratio. Ratio came later, so we'll return to it. Symmetry, ratio, proportion, balance. These fundamentals govern life throughout the universe. They govern the process of creation. Ross, you got me set up to share screen?
Yeah.
All right, give me 1 second. Let me pull these things in. Because I'm trying to do better with my tech, man.
You getting there, Star?
Fluid with my tech.
Share screen, bam.
Better. Let me see. Hold on. What did I do?
There you go.
All right. Hold on. Let me see. There's something else I want to show y'all first. When we say symmetry, ratio, proportion, balance. When we study sacred geometry, we see these things consistently. We see this thing consistently in creation when we're dealing with sacred geometry. Symmetry, same on one side as the other. Ratio, proportion. It is a consistent theme that governs this concept what we call life. You know, life is governed by symmetry, ratio, proportion, and balance. And typically, if and when we experience something that is alive, that doesn't express these qualities, there's usually a next thing what they call dis-ease, you know, mutation, right? I'm gonna run through these kind of quick because there's a bunch, but there are these foundational elements. We'll go back to that. What we call Platonic solids, and they do govern creation. They govern all things in creation. The tetrahedron, the three-sided pyramid, 4 sides, 3 faces, each face 3 sides, representing the element fire. The hexahedron, 6 sides, a perfect cube. 6 faces. 4 sides each face, perfect cube, represents the element earth. The octahedron, 8 sides, each face, 3-sided faces, 8 faces. I'm sorry, 8 faces, each face, 3 sides, representing the element. I always mix these two up, this one and this one, the Icasa, but element air, we're going to say, the octahedron, element air, the icosahedron.
Hey, Ross.
Yo.
I don't see the diagram you don't referencing enlarged.
Okay, hold on.
Like
let me see. So when I click on these, you don't see that pop up?
No.
Okay, hold on. Can you see this screen?
Yeah, I see a screen of many pictures, many photographs.
You see this screen here with sacred geometry?
It's
you know what?
Though.
I got you. Hold on. Let me take a step back. I think I know what's going on. You see this screen here?
Yeah.
I'm scrolling up and down.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and I don't think I have those images on here. So what I'll do is I'll just continue with the point and I'll come back to those images. I just have to switch my share screen to a different program. Let me see.
I know what you're saying. Don't worry about it. Go ahead. Just finish up and we'll drop it in.
Okay. Yeah. So the icosahedron is a 20-faced sacred geometric shape. All the faces have 3 sides, triangular. It represents the element water, element number 4 of what they call Platonic solids. And then element number 5 is the dodecahedron. It is a 12-sided, 12 faces, 5 sides, each face, sacred geometric shape. These shapes are the foundation of creation, whether we're talking about light, sound, the material world, you know, the structure of our bodies. Yes, through the dimensions, we can access power. We have access through these shapes throughout dimensions. You know, they are the fundamental building blocks of creation, right? So within them is a consistent thing: ratio, symmetry, proportion, balance. You know, within the Platonic solids, you have no wasted space. You know, the concept of tessellation is crystallization. You know, crystals are symmetrically proportioned like Lego blocks in a perfect game of Tetris, from the smallest portion out till you can actually physically pick it up. You know, what we call the holographic projection of the geometric structure. So mathematics govern crystallization, and this mathematics is the mathematics of creation. So this is how and why we utilize mathematics within sacred works. This is how and why the concept of synergy becomes alive in the angelic beings of I and I. And this is how we transfer inspiration into primordial clay. You know, we work the ancient mathematics in we forms and then with crafts. So these principles govern our approach to these tools and these jewels that were created at Infinite Treasures, because our experience has taught us that it is a bridge between dimensions. These are tools that will enhance our connections with our ancestors if we choose to keep our minds open to, you know, if we choose to keep our minds open to their messages. So if we choose to study the muses, if we choose to recover the ancient technology of totems and icons and how we symbols, most of which, again, have these principles woven in them. The adinkras are expressions of sacred geometry. You know,
what's
they carry
up with Nancy?
Anansi. So, circa 1998, I found myself here in South Carolina, stumbled down here looking for the African village. I'd heard about, because I've been a few years, you know, just freestyle refining my ancestral veneration technique. But when I heard they had an African village in America on the East Coast, and their tradition was rooted in this old ancient technique, this old ancient technology, I'm like, you know what? I got to go see that for myself. And so we did. I'm not going to take y'all through that whole epic, but we reach through the grace of the Most High and through the mystic messengers and movers. We got to do a whole episode on that. But we ultimately found grace in South Carolina amongst the Yoruba community, amongst the founding members of the community. One of those founding members got a shout out earlier tonight, Baba Oyewole. He is the priest of Ogun, the master woodcutter that allowed me to stay longer than just the intended weekend for the festival that was happening in the times. He didn't want to open up the gate like, yo, you serious, brother, and you ain't scared to work, come get it, right? And in the course of the time I spent with him, I was able to connect with my empress. Again, it's a whole nother story. That story got a lot of details. I just don't want to drag this out into endless, never-ending story. But it was, in the grace of Baba Oyewole's land, one of my requirements was to establish a living situation for myself. I can't just be in like a trailer or a tiny home, just living all up on top of my wife. That goes against Yoruba tradition. If you're a man and you commit a woman, y'all build compounds. And she got her space and you got y'all space. Y'all can share a compound, but y'all shouldn't, traditionally, that's a taboo for you to live under the roof with your wife the whole time. You need space as a man so that y'all don't be at each other's throat and the sweetness turn into spoil, So when we were living on that land, which we were in a position to go and actually really, boom, set up my family out there, and then, bam, I got to build me a spot so I could function in the woods. And it was up in that spot, which was a pyramid that I just made out of trees, little small growth, hardwood oak trees, and built a pyramid. And within the pyramid, which was probably maybe 15 feet tall, 16 feet tall, there was a loft. And in the loft, I used bamboo and created a place where I could be up off the ground so I could actually sleep in this thing and not just be being bothered by all the critters running the land at night, cats and dogs, Lord knows what, elevated up in the apex of the pyramid. The pyramid was set up in such a way where it had like a vista at the top. The apex of it, I could open it up, just be gazing into the heavens through the vista in the top. And that is when the technique was revealed. Laying in this pyramid, gazing up through these trees that this pyramid was in the midst of, I could see the spiders building a web. I was able to just lay there. Middle of the day, we take a siesta. And I was able to just in my siesta, burn my spliff and watch these spiders build these webs. And there was one spider in particular, what they call it the crab spider in South Carolina. And his technique was immaculate. From studying his technique in a pyramid on a Medi, the universe revealed itself. The generations of my ancestors revealed themselves. You know what I'm saying? And it all converged at once. And I'm like, yo, I could do that. That's what I'm for. And so that has been the foundation of the techniques that we use nowadays, what we call a low profile technique, minimal wire, to create multiple maximum access points to the stone. So the folks can be rubbing on their stone and therapying on their stone the way I was when I got my first stone. It speaks to the principle of less equals more, and making a lot out of a little, because in them days, like I say, man, we was living close. We was never no vagabond because we always had ways and means, but we was, how did Ross say, it was things, sometimes it was kind of lean, and we had to make a lot with a little, so materials was even at, wasn't easy access, man. But once we saw this technique, we was able to do it in leather. We was able to do it in threads and cords, hemp string. And then once we were in position by just working that, developing the wire and starting to understand that experiencing how when we sculpt wire, particularly highly conductive metal, into sacred geometric forms that are in symmetry, ratio, and proportion with tension and suspension, ancient future technology. We tapped into how we was doing it in the days of old.
Yes,
ancient future technology.
Yes,
Yeah. So in a glimpse, man, because like I say, it's a never-ending story. The saga continues. The epic is happening right now on this phone call, sharing this information with y'all. Wow. So it will be all covered in one thing. We'll be out here all night listening to the Rasta Man ramble. But I'm telling you, it's not chaos and confusion. it's order, it's ratio, it's symmetry, it's proportion, it's the testament, it's the confirmation, it's the language of the ancestors.
Show us some of your techniques. You pulled up your screen, and we
the language of the ancestors.
Wait, you all spun out, man. Show us some of this.
All right.
About.
All right, we're gonna get to that. I'm gonna go through this real quick just to give you all. Can you see that? Can you see this?
Yeah, man.
Y'all can see this. The rainbow down here, and then the thing right here, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. So this speaks to some of the ashe of the ankh, because the ankh will create, and I say the ankh because the ankh is probably our flagship tool of choice. You know, they really transform things once we started creating them. Even though we do create wearable works of art, all type of wearable technology, the ankh is like the PC of all this technology what we deal with. You know, all these smartphones and watches. You got to have a main center where you can, you know, certain things you can do on a PC or a MacBook you can't do on your phone. You know, at least nowadays. So the ankh for us has been that central system, that server system, as we evolve other portions of the technology. And this little diagram points to why, one of the reasons why the ankh is such a special tool when we're dealing with this ancestral work. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. This right here, if you imagine the rainbow, just like it has here, red is on one side, blue is on the other, right? See that? Red is on one, blue is on the other, opposite of blue. And this line right here, this represents the horizon, right? So when we see light, light does not precipitate in a boat. If we see this on the horizon, we're going to see a rainbow of colors, right? But the horizon is obstructing this beam of light. This light doesn't precipitate in bows, it precipitates in beams. So we're half of this beam, right? And this is usually what we see on that half, this part of the light spectrum. You following me? Other half of the light spectrum is down here beyond the horizon, right?
Yeah,
and we can't see that.
We are following you.
Yeah, and this is the other half of the spectrum we can't see beyond the horizon. This right here. This other half of the spectrum is down here. And just again, if this is the, let's say again, orientation wise, I'm not sure. Say this is the western sky. Western sky is blue. Eastern sky is red. Opposite of red, you're going to have infrared. Opposite of blue, you're going to have ultraviolet, right? Or opposite of violet, you're going to have ultraviolet. This is the green way. We can see the green way up above our head, but similar to these two, opposite of green is the magnetic green ray, right? And why that's important is because it's a powerful ray of light. It is not visible by the eye. It passes through lead. It passes through the earth, you know? It's a wave of light that is not obstructed by matter, you know, as far as we know it.
In cometics, in cometics, just to add on, in cometics where you have the red and the orange, that is Atun, right? No, that's Atum, A-T-U-M, which is where we get the word atom from. The green going up, that's Atun, right? Where we get the word atone and the word ton and the word ten from, at pen. The ultraviolet and indigo ray going down beneath the horizon, that's Amun. That's Amun going into the unseen. And then where you have the ultraviolet green, which looks like the gray, and the invisible light and the black, that's Anun, A-N-U-N. So those four axes of light and unseen light represent the motion that becomes visible forces and invisible forces that are still in motion.
Ashe, give thanks. Give thanks, brethren. This is what we're saying. So what happens then? That what they call negative, we don't call it negative. We call it magnetic green, right? Because it's very beneficial if we know how to use it, right? So we're not using negative. We're saying it's the magnetic green ray. It's the carrier frequency, and it is what we call a channel of communication between this dimension, the land of the living, and the ancestors. You know, it's a channel of communication that is given off by the ankh. The ankh is an ancient alchemical tool encompassing the alchemical symbols omega, We can clearly see the omega here, right? We all know omega. If we've ever been there, a black
Open
fraternity.
that up. Click on it. Let us see it. There you go.
This is our omega, right? Represented in the crown, the top part of the ankh. This is the alpha here in the base of the ankh. The fusion of these two alchemical symbols emits what they call magnetic green ray. Magnetic green energy is emitted down here, like it's discharged. It's discharged. So what does that tell us? One of the applications of the ankh is like an interdimensional cell phone, you know, an interdimensional cell phone.
And
tool we can use.
In temple, go ahead, yeah.
To tighten up our connections with our folks on the other side. You know? Yeah. So this is a very big theme in what we're doing at Infinite Treasures. Really dialing in this principle: ratio, symmetry, proportion, balance with sacred gems and minerals that are in suspension. You know, if you notice, like how when spiders build their webs and catch a prey, the prey is suspended within their web. The power in suspension, you know, like a guitar is a fine example of power in suspension. You know, the wires that are suspended across the wood allow the guitar to tap into tones and frequencies of all types, chords and all kind of mystical, magical tones. You know, suspension is a necessary factor in that, because if there's no suspension, then the wires are out of tone. They can't dial into a specific frequency. You know, they become more desolate and muted, or you know what I'm talking about? So you'll see suspension is a consistent theme, because when these elements move, then just like when magnets are in motion, they tend to generate fields, you know? Yeah, when we create suspension with gemstones and sacred geometry and highly conductive materials like wire and copper and coils, we start accessing multiple dimensions of the universe, because light is a dimension in the universe. Sound is a dimension in the universe. There's places you can go on light beams that you can't go in a spaceship. You know, there's places you can go in the universe on sound streams that you can't go in no rocket ship. You ain't moving fast enough. I don't care what kind of mega boosters they got. They ain't never gonna move at the speed of light. You know, with all the resistance, of earthly things, right? But our body, let me go back. See, I can't show you that shit. I'll come back. Our body is an interdimensional spaceship. And when we synchronize sacred geometry, icons, other things that are relevant to our ancestors, you know, other things that have been beneficial in the evolution of humanity, then we reactivate our Merkaba ship. We can reactivate our Merkaba ship prayers through chants, through tones, you know what I'm saying? Yoga postures and things like this. And so we can embellish the process with gems, minerals, sacred geometry, sacred works of art, what I and I Brudge and deal with, King. Yeah. Ancient future technologies.
Star, let's let our guests build on what you was just talking about, incorporating sound and, you know, breathing and those different dimensions into working with your crafts.
Ashe.
Yeah, man. If you could unshare, because you got the screen on lock.
Okay. Okay, hold on.
So I could tap in.
Okay.
Perfection. Yes, so I'm back at the crib, man. That's amazing build, man. I almost forgot that I was on this joint. I thought I was watching YouTube, watching the guy cook. I was about to go in the kitchen and turn the volume up. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, I'm in this. You know what I mean? That's powerful, God. You know, I never got a chance to ever hear you build on the Anansi insight of your artwork and your heart work. And you know, in particular the ankhs, but I I see wire wrappers everywhere. I don't hold, you are one of the ones you're in the upper room of this thing. All right. Everybody don't get that. It's got a lot of people that's good. Oh, that's cute. Oh man, you doing your thing. But like you in the upper room of this thing, and I know one of your students, you know what I'm saying, brother Ankara, you know what I mean? And Ankara does great work too. So not only is your work doing what it do, but then your students is out here splashing them. You know what I'm saying? Y'all like Steph Curry and Clay out here. You know what I'm saying? Y'all out here making 3-pointers all day, and they're perfect arches. You know what I'm saying? Lights of light. So in Temple of Soul, what I was chiming in on, like in Temple of Soul, we refer to the ankh as an electromagnetic tuning fork. So the same way you tap a tuning fork and it rings, the ankh is the same way, that it rings, and through that sacred geometry of the womb as the omega and the phallus as the rod or the jedi pillar at the base, the alpha and the omega unioning to make the ankh, right? Mathematically, the alpha is the 1 and the omega is the 9. So in Islam, they deal a lot on the science of the number 19 as the alpha and omega. And a lot of sacred sciences get into the seat of the archangel Michael as the 19th of the 24 elders. You know what I'm saying? And so even the master of the mental realm, the master of the mind, the master of understanding the balance, the polarities of the mental plane that play out as the mind. So all of that is there as well. Ross, the screen went and jumped on me for one reason or another. So building on that. Okay. So building on that, the works that I do, when I make ankhs, I want to share a couple of photos. When I've worked with ankhs over time, I was very, very, very blessed to experience when I'm building the ankhs and holding them at the rod with the womb. I can feel the resonance. I can hear the frequency of stones that I place in the womb of the ankh. And I would definitely suggest that to anyone who has an ankh with the open womb and doesn't have a stone placed in it, to hold a stone inside the circle of the womb of the ankh and see if you also can feel and hear the frequency of the different stones when you place them in the womb of the ankh. But I think it's a wonderful experience. Here's one of my ankhs right here that I'm sure y'all are familiar with the symbol in the center of this one. That's a silver Om ankh. And I've made them several different ways, but holding them by the rod and having those crystals in there, I can really hear those. So our abilities to use this technology and understand how many different ways it can apply to our relationship between vibration and matter. There are a number of ways we can use these electromagnetic tuning forks to tap into the forces. It's a beautiful thing to understand the bridge between what people think is jewelry and what we know is talisman. The people wearing it and getting into the beauty of it, that's great. The understanding that when it comes to the crystals and the stones, as well as the alchemy and the science of it all, people ask me all the time, Amun, do you believe that stones work? And my response is, do you believe that your bones work? Y'all can unmute your mics for me, because hearing y'all responses, the oohs and the ahs and all that works for me. I feel like I'm in a conversation.
I was just sitting here like, yo, I'm muted. You can't hear the
Yeah. Keep that. I need that. You know what I'm saying?
Hallelujah.
We here together. I'm glad to be with y'all. You know what I'm saying? But people ask, do you believe the stones work? And I respond, do you believe that your bones work? Because the stones and the crystals in the earth are synonymous with the bones growing in your body. We are crystal beings. Right. Your bones are the crystals of your body. Right. The crystallization of calcium, calcite, the crystallization of magnesium, magnesite, the crystallization of silica or silicon oxide, which is quartz. This is us. Right. And then there are levels to this crystallization. So you got hematite, hemoglobin. You know what I'm saying? That it continues on and on and on through our whole vehicle that we have on this realm, this whole earth vehicle. So now bringing this conversation from the crystallization of our form and getting out of the idea of belief, it's not a matter of belief anymore. It's a matter of witness.
Of science. No.
It's a matter of observation.
Yes.
It's a matter of investigation that you can remember more of what the breath of life that was breathed into man, and man became a living soul. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. The breath of life was breathed into man, and man became a living soul. What is the secret science to the earth ship, the mastercraft that we are? You know? And so there's no coincidence that we refer to them as crystals. You got Christ L, right? Christ L's, crystals, right? You know, L is the right angel or the right angle, 90 degrees. So there's an order to things working properly in this thing. When you add an order, respiratory issue. Add an order, digestive issue. Add an order, circulatory issue. In the crystal kingdom, there are stones that work with all of these systems and even addressing the vibrational subtleties of our systems, right? So all of that insight and observation is available through our work.
Hey, I got I gotta offer this point real quick, man. As you're speaking about the bones, right?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about frequencies, and the bones they are the crystals within our body. Our whole body is a biological crystal.
Yes, sir.
But the most stable crystals in our body, the ones that last the longest through space and time, are our bones.
Factamente.
So what does that also speak to? They are the most resonant part of our body. They carry the frequency that is us and our foremothers and forefathers longer, stronger, louder than any of the other tissues of our body. And so our bones are our tuning fork is in our bones. You know what I'm saying? The frequency that is we is most found within our bone structure. And because of that, like you say, when we are on point on work, what they say, you feel it in your bones. That's ancestral. You feel it in your bones because you're doing the great work. You know, and I think that the more we just take time and make time to recognize these basic sensations or observations. You know what I mean? I don't even like to use the word sensation. It's a loaded word.
Yeah, well, let me continue to cook, God, because you'll go. Yes. I already know that you feel the inspiration and burn. You know what I mean? The observation of even the bones. Let's get into the deeper mystic science of that, right? So people have been baffled about the science of what? Found in South America. The crystal skulls. What is that about? That's about beings whose light body was functioning at such a high level that when the crystallization of their skeleton occurred, it didn't have no sediment. It was just pure crystal. This is the level of light chemistry that we are capable of or have been capable of on this planet. Just like you see a quartz crystal that's white and has all the sediment in it, but then you see a super clear one. Our resonance is capable of that level of fineness. That's what, people talk about the illumination of the chakras. Well, what's going to happen if your wheels get to really spinning? The crystal is going to be super clear and super refined. All types of rainbows will be coming off of you. And yes, people are going to be seeing your auric field. So this conversation, So this conversation is about, when we talk about being alchemists, all of that is therein, but bringing it also to the conversation of people who can't necessarily go there right away. Because we know that crystals are trending right now. It's trendy to talk about, I got my amethyst for protection and all these conversations. And I'm dialed in. I make sure that when people say this stone is for protection, I say, look, when I first started studying, and I was reading books like Love is in the Earth by Melody, which is that big, thick purple book. What I loved most about that book was that she took time out to get into deep description of every stone, so that when you were turned to radio station 103.9, it was clearly not the same as 103.8. And she was very good and deep and particular in her descriptions, so that if you said something was for emotional healing, she noted the different aspects of what that healing is about, so that in a conversation, people wouldn't just generalize and be like, oh, that's a stone for love. Okay, well, love can be communicated as many things. Which aspect of love? So she was dialed in to saying, if you say rhodonite is a love stone, but then you say rhodochrosite is the love stone, but then you say rose quartz is a love stone, but then you say kunzite is a love stone, well, what is the different frequencies of that love stone? You know, that when you hear somebody covering a Prince song, do they sound just like Prince? No. Okay. Is it the same song? Yeah. Okay. Well, don't just tell me it's the same song. Let's talk about the different emotions and the different moods that come along from the different way that the different vocalist brings it about. Right. So simplifying that for people who aren't deep into the crystals, but helping them understand that Googling the meanings of stones and crystals is preschool, first grade, second grade, maybe. But getting tuned into people who have been working for years with masters of different kinds and doing different levels of personal research, as well as walking the path of this thing to be intuitive earth keepers, it's a different thing going on here. You know what I mean? And I try to help people understand that, but also to simplify some things. Maybe it's not all about the depths of the spiritual insights and metaphysics of stones. Maybe that's all hearsay. But you know what's not hearsay? When you get a stone from Mozambique and you're wearing a stone from Mozambique, well, guess what, partner? You're wearing Mozambique. You can use the word from if you want, but what is that place other than the actual elements that make up that part of the planet? So we become people who are internationalizing ourselves. We are globalizing and tapping into the truth of living a fully planetary experience. So it's something special, sacred, and planetary when you could be gifted with wearing a necklace with stones from Zambia and Congo and Brazil all in one necklace. And then you got a chunk of shungite from Siberia on your wrist, you know what I mean? And a ruby from here and an amethyst from there. These are things that are giving us the opportunity to really tap in to this interplanetary experience. And I think a lot of people who are getting into the trend now to be gifted with relationships with the planet Earth, and us being ones who facilitate that planetary experience. You know, a lot of people they kind of make it so wispy. They make it so airy. Oh, I'm becoming spiritual. Nah, B, you're tapped into the physical manifestation of this entire planet. Now, what you gonna do with it? You know what you gonna do? The reality
is,
yes, sir.
Right, when ones be talking about crystals, like, oh, it came out of the earth. Nah, that's not a accurate way to look at it.
Right.
It came out of the geosphere.
Yes, sir.
But it's still in the atmosphere. It's still in the earth. It's just in a less dense realm of the earth. You know?
Yeah, man.
And when crystals come from the geosphere to the atmosphere, we get to interact with them personally. Personally, you know? And like you say, it helps us plug in, you know? So look, we've been going, all of us.
Yes, sir.
Raj, you got any final sound?
Yeah, I got two final sounds. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a proper shout. I have one more elder I got to shout out. Master Woodcutter, Babo Olumuyiwa. He was in the founding of the Oyotunji village a young man, and he became the creme de la creme of the Woodcutters Guild down there. So he is still with us, man. He look our age, man. He somehow or another, so many of his fellows have made their move, and he's still kicking strong. So I'd be remiss if I didn't give Baba Olumuyiwa the mastercraft.
Salute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Baba Olu. And then just, a big up to my brothers, man. Just this is special. And I thank you, Ross, for just being attentive to time, because everybody's attention span ain't that long, honestly. This is a recurring theme. But I think their cups are full, man. And I think that really we can probably get back on. I think we still got at least another episode of this.
Yeah. But yeah, this has to be a regular.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Do another one of these.
Hey, because you know what? This came to my mind when having the two of y'all here, because both of y'all, not in the same year, but in different years, both of y'all wear the Crystal King, the Crystal Wire Wrap King from Crystal Jones, Crystal Cookout, right?
Yeah.
And Crystal Cookout is coming out. Do y'all remember the date? It's in July, I think.
It's that second weekend in July, second strong beginning in July.
Yeah. So you know what? Because what year did you get that crown, Amun?
I don't know, but it was the first year. You know what I'm saying? They asked around who, they did a little I guess a little survey who put them on to Crystal Consciousness, who was the first person that had them wearing pieces, who made their first piece. And Philadelphia with high resonance, everybody reported in Amun. And so I came in and I did the thing, man.
And you came up here last year, Ross, and took the crown, right?
I don't know, man, because Amun wasn't there. Amun wasn't on the scene. That's like George Foreman saying he got the crown and he ain't ever fought Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we showed up, and honestly, Ross, we all know last year was a very special time for more than one reason. We ain't even gonna go too deep into that. So I think that's not a good measure. I had the advantage of the Holy Ghost on me last year. So
you got inspired, huh? You put it on.
Oh man,
Philadelphia wasn't ready for Ross Naim and Infinite Treasure, huh?
What you say, pressure bust pipe, bro? I was coming in there as a humble man, but just through the events of the day, I had so much on my heart and my mind. I was erupting, and that opportunity with the community just gave me a chance to really let the energy out in a productive way and not just be gnawing my teeth and bawling and weeping. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot on my heart that day, man, and it just so happened because you weren't there either. You and Amun weren't there. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know. That's like LA winning the championship during COVID, bro.
We was there by way of you, Ross. You saying, it's why, like, when I started the conversation, I said we a Trinity. You know what I'm saying? I really feel that way, man. Like we a Trinity, and just working in different spaces and times, but harmonizing to one mind to do this service for our beautiful Mother Earth, as well as the El, man, who we refer to as the Most High, Jah, Rastafari, and getting into the resonance of the Ofan and things of that nature, because Ross been the creator of the O-Funks, you know what I'm saying?
The O-Funk, that's right.
The O-Funk creator,
Your thing. But look, why I brought up the Crystal Cookout is because we should plan to come together, us three, and invite Crystal Joan on near when it's scheduled, which is soon.
Yes, sir.
We could give Crystal Joan an opportunity on this platform to promote that thing. And
absolutely. That's only right. It's only right. And that's part of the Holy Ghost. I was spitting that fire, bro. It wasn't a fire of I versus them. It was the fire of like, all these creative people out here. Everybody need to have a booth at the Crystal Joan. And it ain't about who's first and who's last. It's about the inspiration that's exchanged. We come together in the same space and time, and we can learn from each other. You know what I'm saying?
I tell you what. Right, even though y'all wore them crowns, just as a collective, the vendors out there, man, Yo, you talk about bling, you know? And something else I like about Crystal Jones' event is the sister rappers. They outnumber the brethren, and they really
and
their technique is just different, you know?
Yo, and it was coming for the crown too, bro. I didn't come up there for the crown. Real top.
Oh, you came
but
up
it was
there
just
for the sisters? No, I'm just
you know what got us over the top?
What was
we had
that?
a secret weapon that got us maybe 2 more votes than the next sister who she was. Her technique is dope. Muslim sister, y'all probably know. I can't remember her name. Moore's sister. She was set up right beside us, bro, and she was only like 2 votes, but our secret weapon was the hula hoops. We hit them with the hula hoops, the big jumbo hula hoops.
Right.
Jumped up in there. I pulled because like most of the day the hula hoops was out there, and people was either if they looked at them like, nah, if that is a hula hoop, it's too big, or I ain't trying to embarrass myself. So I looked at my man Kojo Most Children like, yo, I need a couple brave soldiers, and they each grabbed the hula hoop. I grabbed one, and the music going on. We jumped up to the front with the hula hoops and start, boom, getting it.
All right.
Oh, everybody realized like, yo, they are hula hoops, and you can get it. And that was it. That tipped the table for us, bro. It wasn't that even like we had the best technique and we inspired the most. But once the hula hoops hit the party, bro, it was like, oh snap! Who is this ninja? Pop up in here and just, oh man. So I think the hula hoops, bro. That's the only reason why. That's the only reason why we inched out the sister, you know.
The year before you came, it was Fantasela from Chicago who won. Okay. And Fantasela is my little sister. Her children are my godchildren. I helped her deliver. I was the midwife for her first son. Wow. And her birthday is the same day as mine.
Wow.
So the year before you, Ras Naim, it was my sister from Chicago who came to visit, who won the crown.
Yo, Crystal Jones, that's why we got to get her on too, because she said she invited some other. I wasn't familiar with her, and she might be coming out of. Atlanta. I'm not sure, but anyway, Crystal Jones said the sister she inviting and really encouraging to come up here this year is Pure Fire, and she got her own following and own crew, and they all coming.
Right.
So we're gonna get Crystal Jones on here and help give a little promotion for the Crystal Cookout.
Yes, sir.
Second Strong in July coming up. We're gonna get all the details.
Yes,
featuring original rap stars. Cats who rap, dropping bars into sacred relics for your body that transform.
Don't get Amun started with that now. Don't encourage him. Hit us with the lyrics, Amun. Go ahead.
You already know.
Dropping bars.
You already know the
Hey, rap star, let us hear what you got.
I mean, you already know about the crystal instructions. The way we rise up through the heavens and we puncture to the next plane, leaving little trace to the Moldavites and things while we fold in space to end up where we are, but we already in the future. Put on a talisman and feel quite super divine and aligned with Anansi's intention, the balance and the equilibrium and the suspension. Also got to give a mention to Ras Ben. Yeah, I'm going, man. I could go forever.
All right, give thanks.
Yeah. Yo,
rap stars.
The man locked and loaded, King locked and loaded, ready for whatever.
Rap star.
I'm coming, Ras Naim. You know, I thought about it, Ras Naim. I'm gonna do my bless. To bring some high level creativity. Because, you know, a lot of times I'm kind of in my mode. Like I live my life. I live my life often like I'm in a coupe, man. I really live this path it's like I'm riding in like whatever the coupe of the time is. I live my life with that kind of grace. I like to just move gracefully and smoothly, even with my creativity. However, the conversation we had in Atlanta was provocative, Ras Naim. So I'm going to go ahead and dig into my creative bag and, you know, show some stuff that ain't nobody never seen me show before at the Crystal Cookout this year. So you've provoked me to put new fire out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what's up.
So
that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Right, before we log off, I'm going to tell you, Crystal Joan put it on me personally. She was like, Ross Ben, get Ross Naim to come forward. He can't be one and done. So Amun gonna be there. Yeah.
Wait, what you say? We about to shake up the world. We about to show people something they ain't never seen before.
Let's go.
You know what I mean?
Let's go. Let's go.
Something they ain't never seen before. And look, that's what it is for real. It ain't even about first place. Somebody got to keep the fire hot. Somebody got to continue to push the bar higher, bro. You know what I'm saying? It ain't about first base, first base, first place, whatever. Who got wood? Who got fuel for the fire? You know what I'm saying? Man. Right. Everybody bring a little fuel.
Gretchen,
fire no cease. You know.
On that note, what you gonna leave us with, Ross?
Y'all know what it is. When we say the fire no cease, what that mean? What it mean, Ross?
We steady on our good works, Star.
Steady upon your good works, Ross Ben. Steady upon your good works, Baba Amun.
Yes, fire.
Steady upon the good works. The future is bright.
Man. Man.
Yes, sir.
Bless up. Much love and respect, my brothers. And looking forward to doing it again.
Yeah, man. I'm ready, willing, and able.